I think you've got to basically go into any hospitality venue knowing what it is you want to be good at. And I want to be good as a wine bar because that's pretty much what I do and the food that I like.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. After a tough period, the city of Melbourne has slowly come back to life over the last few years, and now we are seeing a throng of successful operators swing the doors open on new venues, being real optimism with it. Ian Curley is the owner of 81 Bay and Baix. Ian, how are you?
I'm good. When you say those successful operators, I don't have the pockets like Chris Lucas and Andrew McConnell, that's for sure. But, you know, I like the idea of if I was in the same category as them, I'd be very, very happy.
Well, you're a success in our eyes here at Deep in the Weeds, mate.
You've got very low expectations, that's it.
Now, you're doing something pretty exciting. I know it's been a long time in the works.
Yeah.
Tell us about sort of what's happening in Melbourne as opposed to positivity. There's a few operators opening and your venue.
Yeah, there's some good people opening. I mean, obviously Chris Lucas has just opened Batard, which is incredible. I went there for my anniversary just before Christmas, so that was spectacular. I had a great night. Everything was incredible. Obviously, Andrew McConnell's going to be opening later on this year, and he's just taking Jackie Challenor. And I think, you know, I mean, this is the issue with hospitality. We always got to keep going. It doesn't matter how bad it is. Even all people are opening via COVID, so it's kind of like we just keep going. So I think we like the idea of what it actually is we do, and it's hospitality. We just kind of happens. I mean, I signed for this business in 2021.
Wow.
And, yeah, I know. And it was supposed to open in 22. The builder who was building the actual complex, because it's underneath 58 luxury apartments. So where it is in the scheme of things in Bayside, Brighton, it's not far from the beach. It's 58 luxury apartment. It used to be an old meeting centre or function and event centre. So the developers got it. They developed it, obviously underground car park, all the mod cons. I signed for it in 21 because it's about 10 minutes from where I live. So I always had this idea of walking from home, sitting at the end of the bar like Tony Soprano and going, oh, okay, this is great. And hanging out with my mates at the front. And it was there, and it seemed like a really, really good idea at the time. Unfortunately, it didn't open in 2022 because the builder had issues with the developers and for whatever reason, and that's another long story that nobody needs to worry about because it's already been sorted out now apparently. And so we move on, and then we're about to open in about a month, but that becomes then a little bit tricky as well, which we'll get to. We're opening 2025. Signed in 21.
Wow.
Yeah, supposed to open 22. We're opening in 25. You know, these things happen, you know, anyway. But you know what? You know, you got to look at it in a positive light and say, well, it could have failed in the last 2 years anyway. So you kind of go, well, I've avoided going bankrupt in the last 2 years. That's the way I kind of look at it. Although, you know, we'll see how we go.
Well, they do say good things are worth the wait. It's interesting what you said that about keep moving forward. Is it something about the creativeness of the industry and that sort of exciting thing to create the new that leads you to do new venues?
Yeah, well, of course. Well, I mean, if you think about it, you've got all these, everything moves on. I mean, you know, when I first got here all those years ago, risotto was exciting and stuff like that. Nobody's putting it on anymore. And now you're kind of now going back to what I believe is real cooking. You're going back to the producers now, and sort of, you know, you're talking to your Judy Crows and your Olsons and your Mount Zero, and going back to what proper cooking is again in that type of thing. And also, if you go and look at all the new places that are opening, they're not doing this wonderful weird and wonderful tweezer stuff anymore. They're doing more and more of proper food. You know, like Maison Batard, I mean, Adam Sanderson's great cook, and Joachim and the guys there, they're doing fantastic stuff there for the amount of numbers they're doing, and you know, and it's lots of snacks, and you know, it's more comfort food rather than you know, you wouldn't even say it's exhibitionist food. It's some of those the good restaurants in Melbourne now are doing really good pasta and the like, and that's good. You're getting back to proper food, as opposed to people opening. And I'm not going to get into the argument about smaller restaurants and what they offer and degustation and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's a different thing altogether. And
totally.
I get really grumpy opinions about whether or not a 12-seater restaurant is a restaurant, stuff like that. Anyway, so that's just me being, that's just me being old and crusty and I'm like, there's a 12-seater restaurant, just one restaurant a year. I'm like, it's a dinner party. And then they go, oh, you're so old, so that's it.
Tell us about 81 Bay and Baix. Right. Baix is spelled B-A-I-X. What's the meaning of it, and tell us about the restaurant?
Well, I some close friends of mine for the B-A-I-X part of it was saying, why don't you call it Bay? Because you're on Bay Street in Brighton. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, and you do the European thing and all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh, yeah, that'll be a good idea. And then I thought, no, every night someone's going to ring up and go, oh, I can't find you and stuff like that. So we've got a wine bar inside it. So the place is very big. All up, including the street frontage, it holds about 200.
Wow.
So, yeah, wow. I didn't actually realise it was that big, and that's why I actually even extend the bar on that just to make it a little bit smaller. So it's got a very big bar in the wine bar. I've got 2 private rooms, seats on the street, and, and a restaurant that holds between 40 with the doors closed, and when I open the doors, which actually leads onto the wine bar, you can hold another 15 or 18, so up to 60 in the restaurant if I want to do it. And I always wanted a place, Hucks, that I can invite my little chefy friends to come down and say, right, okay, we get Spencer down from Port Douglas, so right, come and do Friday, Saturday nights. We can talk about it on Instagram and stuff like that and do that, because I've got 130 people that live on site in the actual place itself, in these apartments. So I'm at the base of a group of apartments, and the residents that I've met so far have been fantastic. So I just want to do something, basically work with them, but also in the local area, because where Brighton is in the scheme of things in Melbourne, there's not a lot happening at night. It's a good area, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful for the kids, lots of private schools and all that sort of stuff, but there's not a lot where you can turn around and say, I really want to go for a really good bottle of wine and that. 2021, I thought, yeah, what a good idea. I can walk there, I could, fantastic, all that sort of stuff. But now I'm 2.5 years older, I'm beginning to feel it, because I'm sick to death of sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, getting it ready, talking to wine suppliers and stuff like that, because that's not my strong point. It's like, so I'm not in the kitchen. I'm going to patron it or general manager it and just stand around and basically annoy everybody. And I got myself a great chef. And I've told everybody that comes in for the job, I just said, look, listen, I'm not in the kitchen, so you won't be able to get away with it at the front, because I'll be there all the time. And I want to see it as a proper chef patron job. I want to be there every day. And I just think, yeah, why not? I think, yeah, go for it. I want to go for it. I think I've decided that my other businesses, they're running really well, that they're looked after really well. They've got great managers. My partners are looking after French Saloon and Kirk's very well. So I'm like, okay, why not? It's local. I can walk there every day. My daughter catches the bus from there to go to school. The other daughter will be catching the bus on the way back from school there. She'll walk past every day. Both of them have decided that they want to work in the restaurant as long as I pay them properly, which is another bone of contention around the dinner table, and incredible how 15-year-olds now want more than their age in their pay, and they keep reciting to me, see, somebody else was exploiting staff, and I'm like, you're 15. What are you talking about? You've never worked in a venue, and they're giving me grief. And I'm like, oh, here we are. Yeah, but anyway, so it's been fun. You know what? It has been fun, but also because there were a couple of legal issues with it, which we've now sorted out. And and you know what? I don't want to dwell on it anymore, because there were time there when it did get to pretty dark, and I'm moving forward.
Yeah. You've opened many venues, and obviously this is a pretty exciting period in your life, especially with the chef patron. And
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But do you have any advice for someone sort of navigating that whole landscape of, the creation and building and to open a restaurant? What's some of the things that they should be mindful of?
I went into it with the idea, first of all, because when it was in 21, I thought, okay, I'll open a big restaurant and then I'll have a little wine bar area. And it's a pity you can't see the space itself, because it actually it lends to having a nice restaurant part of it, and then the wine bar part of it as well. But I switched it around. I went, you know what? This is not the way that dining's going. Nobody's sitting down and having entree, main, dessert, and the like anymore. So I switched it from having a bigger restaurant to a smaller restaurant and a bigger wine bar. And I think that was the gap there. I think you've got to basically go into any hospitality venue knowing what it is you want to be good at. And I want to be good as a wine bar, because that's pretty much what I do and the food that I like. And I because I live in the area, I think I know what's missing. And I want to be able to turn around, and it would be the same if I was going out with Simone and say, you know what, would you want to go walk down the road tonight? Where was what we used to do when the place in Brighton called the Pantry? We used to do that pretty much every Friday, Saturday night. Go, come on, we'll just go to the Pantry and have dinner. I want people to be able to go, let's just go to 81 Bay or down the Bay for dinner and go do that and go from there. I want it to be a really good neighbourhood local. It's not going to be, the last thing I want is a two-hat restaurant or anything like that. That's not what it's about. I actually want it to be a place where people can drop in, have good food, great glasses of wine, have a Negroni, go home, come back again later on in the week. We're in an area in Brighton where there's lots of private schools. I want people to be able to come in with their kids and have early dinner, craft of wine, go home, and then they come back later, hopefully when the kids are asleep, but then they've got a babysitter. But then they can come back and say, well, okay, it's there. It's there more for the people than it is for my ego and the like. So it's going to be good. I'm going to give it a red hot go. I am positive, but also in the same regard, you've got to look at it from you've got to get good people around you. I've got to get a great financial controller who really keeps me in line. She keeps me really on my toes. And whereas I go out and go, I think we should do this, she's like, you can't afford to do that. So, and that's the thing. You've got to have good people that advise you well, because as well as I do, there are a lot of good chefs out there who cook a lot better food than I do, and they don't make it for whatever reason. And there's a longevity to it as well, because I realised a long time ago that I'm not the best chef in Australia, and I've got a really good up and coming chef who can do the good stuff, and he wants to do it. He's passionate. He's very good at what he does, and I'm like, yeah, good on you, buddy. And I think he can cook better than me, just like Luke Fraser can at Kirk's. He's a much better cook than what I can do, and I don't want to do it anymore, Hucks. Honestly, if I cook another piece of salmon in my life and sort of go, yeah, that's not cooked or is cooked, or complain about a salad needs for, I can't be. No, that's not what it's about. I actually want to be the chef patron, welcome people to my venue, show them what it's about, and then hopefully they like it, come back.
Tell us a little bit about that role and what you're looking forward. Obviously, they have a greater connection with guests, and it's not uncommon for you to come out of the kitchen and say hello to people. But being on the floor, what are you looking forward to most about that role?
Well, I think because the reason why I wanted to do it, one was I thought there was something missing in the area, but also we live in the area. Myself and Simone, we live in Brighton. Simone's got her practice. She's a doctor. She's got a practice in Brighton. My kids go to school in the area, and we love we actually love the area. So what we were thinking, it's home, and it's close to my retirement age, like God forbid. But then I think, why not? It's there. I could probably retire. I've still got a good couple of years left in me, but I could retire. But I'm just going to get a list of things to do around the house from Simone, and I just think, it's a lot easier to go out and do what I've got to do. I've still got kids at school. I think, Yeah, I've got to do something. I want to do something for myself. I've got good partners at French Saloon and Kirk's, but I want to do it for myself because obviously they say, oh, they're doing all the admin, and Con says he does all the great things with the setup and stuff like that. But I want to do it my way, and I think I've got something to offer in that regard. It won't be easy, and I'm conscious of that. But hospitality is not easy, but you got to love it.
I know we've spoken before about the challenges, particularly in Melbourne over the last couple of years, and getting that city back to life.
Yep.
What's exciting you at the moment and sort of the year or two ahead? Is there changes in the way that, Melbourne's operating in a positive way out of this?
Well, I think if like you were saying before, if you look at the landscape and what's coming, I mean, take my part of it aside, because I don't agree that I'm part of the bigger picture, even though I've been mentioned in there. If you look at Andrew McConnell, for example, he's opening venues and he does it really well. I think that's a positive. You've got Chris Lucas is obviously expanding. I mean, he's building more things up in Canberra as well. I don't know how or why, but anyway, he is. But then, and you think, well, okay, if they're people who are in the know and they understand the business a lot better than I do, if they're confident about it, then you think, well, why not? I mean, Adam Silver's opening this year as well, albeit over the other side of the city. Michael Lambie's opened just recently. I think, you know what? There is a positivity. There is something. All those people can't be stupid like me. Some of them have to know what's going on. And also, yes, it's hard, and think prices are going up and stuff. But main courses and food and wine is getting to an acceptable place now where you get what you pay for. And of course, if you want to go out and have a Wagyu steak that costs you $120 and somebody wants to pay for it, you've got to make sure you're cooking it properly. But also, if you're going to pay for that, then go for it. But, that's not where we're at. But I want to be able to offer good value. I work on the premise that I'm not going to charge people what I can get away with. I'm going to charge people what I need to. And that's the difference with what I want to do. I'm going to have, if you want to dine in the wine bar, you add on to, I don't know, might be $20 or $25 to the list price on the bottle shop price, because I've got a wine shop as well that's there. I've got a takeaway license and general license. So I think, people want to come in and have a bottle of Curley Flat or Mac Forbes. They add on $20 to their bill. They can have it there. Nice glassware.
Yeah.
We'll top up your water if you're very lucky, and then we'll go from there. So, yeah.
The industry kind of needs the wisdom and knowledge of people like yourself, and you've always created clear career paths for young chefs and developing and nurturing them.
Yeah.
For the younger chefs sort of coming into the industry now, it's such a different world to when you were younger. But, what some advice do you have, that you could share for those looking to sort of carve out long careers?
It's funny because my chef that I've got is a guy called Josh Moroney that worked with Jackie Challenor for about 5 or 6 years. And I rang Jackie about him and I said, tell me about Josh. And she goes, good kid, works really hard. She goes, he needs a mentor though. And I'm like, why? And she goes, he wants to look after the staff and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I get that, because all of my sous chefs were like that. When I was just the chef, when I say just the chef, when I was just the chef, I was always pretty hard on my sous chefs, and my sous chef used to like all the other staff and used to give it back to me. Same as when I was at the European with Pete and the guys. But now he's stepped into the role where he's got a very large business to deal with, and it's my job to make sure that I can mentor him through that. So you've also always got to maybe separate yourself from the fact that you basically look after all of your staff, but at the end of the day, you've got to get them to do that job, because there's a lot of money riding it. Make no mistake. If this goes under, I won't be homeless, but I'll be close to it. So the thing with it is, it has to stand on its own 2 feet. Now, luckily, we looked at the business from the outside and said, well, it's not just a wine bar and restaurant. There's people that live in the building. You've got to cater for them. There's an area on the street where people can just sit out the front and have drinks, because I've got a license for that. There's takeaway options to the rooms, and also there's an event space up on the roof, and I've got a private room. So we're going to go hard at it, but it's more the fact that you've got to adapt to what's there, and you say, well, okay, let's do it. And you've got to choose your staff accordingly. The people that I've got looking after the wine shop, they're knowledgeable about wine, but you're not the sommeliers who are smelling corks and I call them bottle strokers or label liquors and stuff like that. I don't want that person, you know. I don't want to sit there and talk to people about the joys of Chablis and all this sort of stuff. I want people to go, there's a really good Chablis, we can get it for you for this much, try a bottle or try a glass or whatever, and go from there. I think go back to good old-fashioned service. Yeah. I mean, I've been to so many restaurant Hucks where the food's incredible and there's just something missing, and it's that, hey, how you going, and that smile, and also, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, ochre or anything like that, but that thing, smile when you come in, smile when they leave, you know. Yeah. And Melbourne's got a couple of really good front of house people or front of house crew, and they've always done that really well. And I think myself, we've got to get back to that because the service is the key. Honestly, Josh will be able to cook Carrara beef, the ones that we're using and stuff like that, or the Wagyu that we're using. He'll be able to cook that and put it on the plate at medium rare. But it's when people like Sarah, who's my front of house girl, pick it up, get it to the table, make sure that the table's happy. That's the secret. That's the difference. And that's hospitality in a nutshell. That's what it is.
From afar, this feels like it's a bit more personal, this restaurant. How's it going to feel for you when you first open the doors?
It's going to be a long time coming, and it's going to feel like I've spent a lot of money. And and when I open the doors, I'm going to be relieved because it's been a long time coming. And also, from when you're a chef, you don't actually realise everything else that goes into it. When I looked at the space, they just knocked down the building, and it was a hole in the ground, 3 levels down. So then they start giving you plans, and you talk to an architect, and then isn't that fun when you don't know what you're looking at? And then you put it together, and you go, okay. But then you're looking at plans as a chef, and unless you're bright, which I'm not, you don't know what you're looking at. You go, oh, yeah, I want the kitchen there. And then they go, well, there's an outside wall. You're not going to have a view. There's nothing there. You go, oh, okay. So you move it around a bit. And by the time you get to where you're at, you've looked at plans, and in the end, you just look, go, yeah, whatever. You don't understand where the gas meters are and the electricity meters and then the water system and also the air conditioning. And then when the developer sends you a bill for your $80,000 for your exhaust system, you go, oh, I thought, oh, yeah, you didn't read the lease. You go, oh, okay. So, oh, yeah, the fun of it all. But then also, when you get to do that, when it all comes together and you look at the finishes and you go, yeah, I like that and stuff like that. And then that's good. And then, but also then you start looking at point of sale systems and all those fun bits. And then you sign the leases on the point of sale system. And then you think, oh, yeah, open table, 7 rooms, this thing, all that. You go, oh, geez. And then you got payment systems. You go, I'm a cook. It was easy just to do French fries and dip it in aioli. But then when you're sitting there talking to them about that, and then I have a very low attention span for when people are talking stuff to me, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, can this meeting just be over? But no, you've got to sit down and go through it because they've got to explain every minute detail of a point of sale system and what it's going to mean to you. And you go, Jesus, now people enjoy this stuff, but it isn't me. So let's do that. And then you got the table coverings, what tables, chairs, what colour, you got a colour system, then you've got to get branding people to go, right, what's your brand colours? What's the brand speak? Because you can't have people on Instagram saying things about you, about your place, if they work there in the wrong speak. And you go, okay. So it all becomes all of that. And that, you know what, I must admit, a lot of it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
The bit that's really, really caught me up, and I've deliberately not let a lot of people go through the venues because I don't. The thing is, when you get a lot of your mates come through, they give you their opinion, but then you kind of go, oh, yeah, maybe they're right and stuff like that. I don't want them to come in and go, no, I wouldn't have done it like that, because they're all they're restaurateurs, or some of them are failed restaurateurs, but some of them are successful restaurateurs. And then they come in and go, oh, I would have done this like that. And then all of a sudden you're like second-guessing yourself. I want to do it so that when they come in, I want them to either go, I hate it, or you've done well here. I don't want them to come in and go wishy-washy.
Yeah, amazing.
So they'll come in and go, oh, okay, and they'll like it, and then they'll go, yeah, hate the chairs. I'll say, well, that is what it is. It is. But honest to God, I've realised I know nothing about arts, because when there's lots of walls where I've got to put stuff on the walls, and people come in and go, what are you going to put on that wall? And I look at a wall like I'm some sort of like one of those people that are staring into a distance. I'm like, I've got no idea. And I've had interior designers come in and go, oh, I think you should do this. And I look at it and I talk to Simone and we go, nah, that ain't happening. And then some of the prices, and they said, oh, you can put this person's art on the wall. They only charge this much. And I'm looking at them going, did she just say how much? I was like, what? And so we might not have too much art on the walls when we open, but we'll get there. That part of it's a work in progress. I can tell you exactly where the kitchen and the fryer works and all that sort of stuff, and I believe the important stuff. But when somebody says to me, are you going to put a photo of this up there on the wall? I'm like, really? Why? Well, how does that work? It's interesting.
Well, you're very close to the finish line now. When are you expecting to open?
Right, so my big problem is we're going to open in about a month. So in a month, we're going to open. We're going to open for a week, and I'm only going to open the wine bar side of it and do the wines by the glass thing. So I want to test fire everything, but I don't want to open full on, because you're going to have all the, it's going to happen. And also, everybody always wants to go to the new place and stuff like that. So I'm going to open. I'm not going to actually announce online or anything like that. I'm just going to open to friends and family and stuff like that, and just come in, have the wines by the glass menu. The full menu will be on as for food wise, but also I want to open just for the week, and then I'm going to close for a week, because for my sins I've got St. John from London coming over for the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. So originally I thought it would be a good idea if I could get Fergus and Trevor over, because Fergus can't travel. So I've got Trevor coming over with Farouk, his head chef, and they're coming over for the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. So they're taking over, I hate the word pop-up, but it's a residency at French Saloon for a week.
Yeah, amazing.
So it would be remiss of me, because I'll have to be there for lunch and dinner with Trevor, because God help us, if Trevor starts talking to people, he could be there forever. So I'm going to be there keeping him moving. So lunch and dinner for the whole week. We've got a Pork Star event on the Monday, so that's going to be amazing. Judy Crow's been fantastic to us.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
I'm going to do the Monday with that for the Pork Star and for St. John. I'll do that week for with Trevor and St. John and Farouk, and then we'll open probably the 1st or 2nd of April. So that'll be that. So we'll open mid-March for a week, 10 days maybe, and then we'll close for a week, 10 days, and then just reopen, and that'll be proper from then. But then I want to be able to do the so-called launch and all the Instagram rubbish and all that sort of stuff, Easter, because you got to remember 5 days over Easter, a lot of people go away, but also if you've got full-time staff, you're paying them.
Yeah.
So you need to be mindful of like all of that now. And this is the thing, you never realise when you're just a chef and every week you're getting paid for your week's work, and you go, oh, I'm checking my annual leave. I think I'll take the weekend off and go to Port Douglas and hang out with all the pop stars. All of a sudden, you're going, hold on a minute, that person worked 40 hours and they've only been there 3 days, so I better pull that back. And also that's that. So it's a balancing act of that part of it. So for the first maybe 3, 4, 5 months, it'll be dictated to by how many people use the space, but I probably won't open for lunch Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
And then I think, from that point of view, I just need to look at it and see what my manpower is and see how it goes. Because I've got lots of offers for people who want to come and work, but they're all expensive. And everybody says, yeah, I'll come and do it, but you're going to have to pay me this much. And that doesn't work that way anymore, because it's now my money, and because I don't have any other partners other than Simone. So it's kind of like, well, I can't lean on them for a loan and say, do you want to tip in some more money like we did at French Saloon and Kirk's? It's more, it's just me. So hopefully it works and it's successful. If not, we just have to work harder and go from there. But the signs are good. I've got good staff at the moment. And I'm really happy with Josh and Sarah. I'm talking to a wine person that I think are going to be really good. If I can get them across the line, I think it'll work. And it'll be a good neighbourhood wine bar, restaurant. And I've always wanted a little place where I can ring up Massimo and Spencer and even Ray Capaldi if he's in a good mood, and get him in and get him to do a Friday, Saturday night and say, come and do a Friday, Saturday night. I'll give you the food takings for your fee, and then, you talk about it on Instagram, gives the social media guys content, and they can get all excited about that sort of stuff, which, things.
Well, Ian, I can't wait to see it all unfold and open up the amazing sort of neighbourhood venue that you created. As always, absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. Good luck and keep in touch.
Looking forward to it. I'll get you and Locke an invite to the opening, even though you have to pay for your own airfare. So, okay.
Deal. Amazing.
All right, mate.
Thank you.
To you. So, see you, Huck.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.